Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is the Women's Olympic Road Race 2024. Now today's race, 157 kilometers, 9 climbs, just about 100 miles in length, but it's the 3 last climbs, 2 circuits of about 18 point something kilometers long. Then they're going to exit the circuit after doing 3 climbs of Mont Montreuil. That if you watched the men's race yesterday, you know it's spectacular, super narrow, still the feed zone starting the climb there, Mont Montreuil, just about 1.2 kilometers long with 7.5% sections on cobbles. Twisty, nasty. They're going to summit at the top by the church. They're going to drop down the descent. We're talking about 9.5 kilometers at the summit. Drop down the descent. They're going to go through the Louvre with about 4 kilometers to go. Exit that and, of course, go across the bridge at 200 meters and finish at the Eiffel Tower where they started today. Now, the women's race, like I said, 100 miles, a little bit different than the men's where it was 170 miles, so a little bit different in distance, but remember, it's about the same number of riders. So, if you're the Netherlands, you don't want to see any kind of repeat of the last Olympics in 2021 where Anna Kiezer-Hoffen there went solo and won the Olympic women's road race, and Annemiek van Vleuten ended up finishing second. Well, they have 1 rider less here because most of the teams have 4, the bigger teams. Then we start seeing 3 and 2 riders like the U.S. have. U.S. have some talent on the rider roster because they have Chloe Dygert and they have Kristen Faulkner. Faulkner's been looking fantastic and has won some races throughout the 24 season already. So she's highlighted as one of the riders to watch here in the Women's Olympic Road Race. But when you really look at the super first page riders, well, Marianne Vos from the Netherlands, she's up there. Lorena Wiebes is their sprinter from the Netherlands, been winning all season long, just under 20 wins throughout the 24 season. And then you got Marianne Vos. Marianne Vos has won everything, so Team Netherlands is stacked. And they got Ellen van Dijk, who's a diesel. She can ride all day long. We start looking at other teams. It's Belgium. Lotte Kopecky. She is the current road world champion. Last year in Glasgow, she lit everyone up, and her tactics were something magical last year at Glasgow, where the Team Netherlands tactics were anything less than magical, and Lotte Kopecky won gold there at Glasgow. So when we get interested into watching today's race, when they get into kilometer 0, that's why you don't see any tacking. There's not a ton of numbers, just like the men's race. They got to be careful how they use it. We see one solo rider going up the road, and Bob Roll's talking about you just don't want to go solo. You absolutely don't. The Bob Rollism is correct on this part of the course because the race just started and we see the solo rider come back and she gets dropped right away. We got to go into about 140 kilometers to go. And then we see Nora Jenkusova, the Slovakian rider. She's going up the road solo, right? She's going against Bob Rollism. Words of wisdom here. She's going solo. Then we're going to see Afghanistan rider Yıldız Hashimi there chasing. She's stuck in the middle. She's going solo too. Now, Bob Roll said you don't want to go solo. We go back and we see 4 women chasing, and we see the sister there of Hashima in the front from Afghanistan, and it's Fariba, her sister, in the back. She doesn't want to help chase. Now we see a little bit of argument going on, and the Bob Rollism, now he starts to take into effect here with 130 kilometers to go, as he says there's no way your sister can be seen helping the competition chasing down your sister. Well, the Bob Rollism is wrong at this moment. Just like he said at the beginning, you don't want to be solo. You don't want to leave your sister out there in the middle of nowhere land, sitting out there with 130 kilometers to go, Bob Rollism. You want to catch her immediately so that you can start working together and putting time on the Netherlands, putting time on Italy. They have Longo Borghini back there as a favorite. Putting time on Belgium, Lotte Kopecky. So you certainly want to work with the competition. You want to catch your sister right away, which finally they do 10 kilometers later, about 120 kilometers to go. And then 110 kilometers to go. We got 6 riders all together here starting to put time on Team Netherlands behind. The peloton was relaxing. There's no threat. There's only 6 riders at the front. No big time names right now. When we start going into about 100 kilometers to go, we see Fisher Black. She starts having a mechanical problem, and she's team from New Zealand. Once she pulls over to the left side of the road, you're on the wrong side of the road. We're not in New Zealand. You're supposed to be over the right. She drops her bike. She doesn't accept the wheel change from her mechanic, and she sends him back to the car. But remember, his car's on the right side of the road. So he disappears out of the picture, comes back with a bike, throws Fisher Black on the bike. She takes off and realizes she's stuck in the easy gear right there because the rear derailleur won't shift. It doesn't have a battery. She clearly did not watch Story Time with Chris Horner, where I told you make sure your spare bike is prepared because you're got to have brakes on your bike, and you certainly got to have your cranks tightened. And both my bikes at the 2012 Olympics were failed me on that year's Olympics. And right now, Fisher Black is having the same problems as she can't get out of her easy gear, and she's spinning like crazy. See her looking at all the cars. She can't tell which car is hers because they're all white. But she sent her mechanic back with her original bike, so they're back there probably loading up the bike on the roof rack. She's freaking out. She's asking all the cars for some help. She needs a battery. Then Team New Zealand comes back up. You see the mechanic stretching out the passenger side there on the right side of the car. The right side because the right door opens up. That's why she was supposed to change on the right and not the left. But she didn't. Now we see the mechanic. He's pulling the spare battery off her first original bike to go on now her second bike. As he's reaching out, he gets the battery off the top of the roof. Then she pulls up next to him and he's reaching on there, switching the batteries out. He successfully gets it done. And we see Fisher Black start getting happy again as she rolls up to the back of the caravan. You see Team Netherlands right there, Marianne Vos in front of her, so you know she's going to be okay at this moment in the race. Now the time gap's starting to go up to the 6 riders in front. We're getting up to about 5.5 minutes, coming under 80 kilometers to go. At 75, we see Team Netherlands lined up on the front, all 4 of them. This is a stacked roster of teammates right here. 4 and Ellen Van Dyke, the Diesel's on the front, drilling it with all of her teammates lined up, and they're working for Lorena Wiebes, their sprinter that I already told you has won a lot. Now, at this moment, I'd like to see the Belgium team on the front too. If you're Team Netherlands and you know that Longo Borghini won the Giro d'Italia too, Team Italy's not on the front with you, Belgium's not on the front with you. If you take just and go back in time one day and you look at the men's race, there's 3 teams working on the front. Team Netherlands needed to force Belgium to get on the front too, and Italy to get on the front with them because they have big-time favorites. There's no doubt about it. Instead, Netherlands is on the front. Ellen Van Dijk's doing a fantastic job. The time's starting to come down as we get into just under 70 kilometers to go. The brake starts to blow up, and we see Fariba up there with Hannah from the neutral team here going up the road with 2 riders. But the gap is starting to drop down to about 1 minute and 40 seconds. So you know the 2 women up front, they're going to get wrapped up because the peloton's starting to get excited back there with under 60 kilometers to go. It's Team GB throwing in attacks left and right, trying to blow up the Olympic road race. If you didn't have time to watch 157 kilometers, you have to watch the last 60K with Team GB lighting it up. The brake in front blowing up. There's only 2 women up front. As we start seeing attack after attack, it's Team Netherlands chasing things down. It's Marianne Vos chasing. Demi Volleren's chasing. They're trying to save the legs of Lorena Wiebes. Ellen Van Dijk has already dropped off in a group of 12 that went back there with last Olympic champion there in 2021. Anna Kieser-Haver, as she has gotten dropped back there with Ellen Van Dijk. It was a hard 2024 Olympic road race for Anna Kieser-Haver right now. She'd been dropped all day, but at the front of the peloton, it's looking fantastic. Things are getting exciting. The peloton's blowing up. The brake is blowing up. We're coming under 50 kilometers to go, and there's a technical chicane followed by a good little bump before we come into Montmartre with about 2 kilometers later. As they come into this chicane, we know Kristen Faulkner wants to be in good position, and that's why she's sitting second wheel right behind Australia. Australia sitting first and third as they start the left of the chicane. Kristen Faulkner second, like I said. We go back to the aerial view looking down at the chicane here. We start looking at the other U.S. rider. That's Chloe Dargard. She finished third, the bronze medal here at the individual Olympic time trial. Now she's trying to make up some position as she's flying through the left turn, coming into the chicane before the right. She's passing on the right side. This is looking a little hairy and scary as Chloe Dargard's flying through, coming up into the right turn though. She's pinching off this rider from Switzerland there, Elisa Shabby, and then to the left of Elisa Shabby, that's Elisa Longo Borghini, if I'm correct. The Italian rider's pushing over on the Swiss rider. The American rider's pushing over to the left side of the Swiss rider. Once they come out of the right bend, we see Chloe Dargard's going down. Elisa Shabby from Switzerland's going down. Up front, Kristen Faulkner's throwing in on the pedals as she's trying to blow up the women's Olympic road race in 2024. Now the pictures go back to the crash. Who's missed out? Well, we see the big-time favorite, Lotte Kopecky there just at the very front. She's lost out as the road's blocked and everyone's held up except for about 15 riders when the cameras go back to the front to see Kristen Faulkner throwing down as she's wrapping up the last of the 2 breakaway riders up there. As we see those 2 riders wrapped up, we know everybody's racing for gold gold medal here in 2024. Now the cameras go back and they show us again the accident. If I had to say who caused it, Chloe Dygert, you caused this crash right now. But as we start looking at some of the favorites, like I said, Lotto Kopecki's caught up in the crash. Demi Vollering was held up in the crash. Now up front, as we see, we're coming into Montmartre. We see the favorites starting to attack on the front. We'll call it about a group of 15 right now. Mavi Garcia from Spain throwing in attacks. Kristen Faulkner is lashed onto the wheel. We go further back down and start seeing Lotto Kopecki. Lotto Kopecki's throwing down on the first passage here of Montmartre. She's probably, I'm taking a guess here, 25, 30 seconds back. The peloton's blown up. There's bodies all over the place. Demi Vollering sitting there on the wheel of Lotto Kopecki, but she can't hold it. As the Belgian rider's blowing up these cobblestones, she's flying by everyone. We go up to the summit of the climb. Kristen Faulkner, Team USA, is on the front driving it. We'll call it 11 riders. We look further back, going over the summit. Lotto Kopecki's past everyone. She's on flying form, starting the descent, flying through the corners, taking maximum risk. We look further back. What's happening back there to Lorena Wiebes, the big-time sprinter favorite here that's won almost 20 races in 2024. Well, it's Demi Vollering from Team Netherlands riding the front right now for Lorena Wiebes, but they can't close the gap. Lotto Kopecki can close the gap, though. She flew through the corners. Now she's coming up to the group of 11 riders in front. We'll call it a dozen as Lotto Kopecki latches on. Now, we start looking at the chemistry here. There's big-time problems for everyone because there's 3 GB riders. When we're looking at the quality of Team GB that's made this front group, well, we see Anna Henderson is in the front group. She was silver at the individual time trial. Pfeiffer Georgie is in this front group. She's got fantastic legs. And we see Lizzie Dignan's here. Lizzie Dignan's a road world champion herself. She's on fantastic form as she's up here with a group of dozen riders and 3 GB. They're throwing in attacks all over. It's getting covered by a number of riders, but certainly Kristen Faulkner was doing her work at the front covering attacks. Now we're coming up to the second passage here of Montmartre, just under 30 kilometers to go. We see Mavi Garcia's riding the front, starting to blow stuff up. We start seeing GB coming out the back. It's Lizzie Dignan coming out the back. Anna Henderson, she's coming out the back too. The 2 GB riders will get back together and somehow they'll find their way back up to the front. What's happening back there with Lorena Wiebes? Well, Demi Vollering wasn't getting any help in the group back there. She led into the second passage here of Montmartre, and then Lorena Wiebes had to light it up to try to close the gap, but the gap's at 40, 50 seconds up to the front riders right now, who are blowing their breakaway up too, as we see attacks from Mavi Garcia throwing in. Faulkner's up at the front whole time. We see a lot of Kopecki's holding onto the wheel. Then with about 22 kilometers to go, Team GB, there are 2 riders that are getting dropped off the back. Lizzie Dignan along with Anna Henderson. As they're coming back on, they're flying by on the left side. We see Anna Henderson there flying by the left side of the group. Once she gets into the front, Lizzie Dignan throws in an attack. She throws in with everything. And we see that it's Voss, Mariana Voss, that covers the move, along with Voss. Blanca Voss is covering the move from Hungary. As those 2 riders are going across there to Lizzie Dignan, we got 3 riders in the front, but not for very long. Lizzie Dignan's legs are starting to pay the price. She's coming out the back. Now we have 2 Vosses at the front. Mariana Voss, a legend in the women's cycling and cycling in general. Let me not play it down. She has won everything. She's going pull for pull right now with Blanca Voss, who's not missing a turn at all. The 2 riders are throwing everything. We go back and look what's happening. Well, Team GB's on the front. We see Anna Henderson and Lizzie Dignan right in the front. We go further back. Everyone further back's not going to see a chance at winning the gold medal. They get close, but they're out of the picture right now, as we got 8 riders in front and they're chasing 2 up front, but the gap is about 30 seconds with Team GB starting to blow up with 15 kilometers to go. Again, Lizzie Dignan's coming out. Anna Henderson's coming out. Now we see 5 riders in the front. As these 5 women are chasing the 2 in front, the gap's still at about 30 seconds. We're coming into 10 kilometers to go. This is the last passage of Montmartre. As the 2 riders in front start, it's Voss on the front. You're like, Voss, they're both Voss. Yes, they're both Voss, but it's Blanca Voss on the front. She's pulling Mariana Voss sitting second wheel. We look further back. The 5 riders are coming into the climb. It's Kristen Faulkner on the front. Faulkner's throwing down with everything. We start looking at who's first to come out the back. It's Rug from Switzerland. She's coming out the back, followed by Mavi Garcia, and then Pfeiffer Georgie for Team GB. Her legs are blowing up. If I back you into the second passage here of Montmartre, when she was attacking, this was a mistake. You don't want to attack on the most difficult section here at the 24 Women's Olympic Road Race. You want to attack anywhere else other than the hardest most part. Now she's paying the price. Her legs are blowing up. Kristen Faulkner's throwing in everything on the pedals. A lot of Kopecki's locked on her wheel for Team Belgium. We go up to the summit. We see the two riders in front, both Vos. They're going over the summit, but they got only about 6 seconds. We see the famous church. We look further back. Well, that's right there, Team USA flying. Now we start looking as we come down the descent. Kopecky starts taking pulls there for Kristen Faulkner. They're starting to close up the gap. We get into about 6.5 kilometers to go. Kristen Faulkner's on the front. She's giving the elbow. A lot of Kopecki's not coming through. Kristen Faulkner looks left over her shoulder. A lot of Kopecki still doesn't want to come through. Now the gap starts going the other way. From 6 seconds, it goes to 7 seconds. It goes to 8 seconds. A lot of Kopecki's coming through. Kristen Faulkner's coming through too, of course, because she's done magnificent work. Team Belgium, a lot of Kopecki still pulling through. We're coming under 4 kilometers to go. It's the arches for the Louvre, the famous Louvre, as they've gotten the gap back down to 5-6 seconds for the two riders in front. Now they pass through the roundabout of the Louvre as they're exiting the roundabout, just under 4 kilometers to go. It's all coming together for a chance at a gold medal here at the 24 Women's Olympics as they're coming in the right turn. I'm sitting on the Chesterfield. At this moment, I'm saying, Kristen Faulkner, throw in attack. There's no way you want to come to the line with Lotta Kopecky and with Mariana Vos. They got too much speed. She listens to what I say. Well, that's what I thought anyways, right? She throws in her attack going up the left side. When we look at the picture one more time, who is sitting on the wheel? Because when we see Kristen Faulkner attacking, she's sitting third wheel. We see fourth wheel there. That's Kopecky. Kopecky couldn't follow the attack. Kristen Faulkner is throwing up the left side. We look at the front as we back the film up just a hair. It's Blanca Vos that was on the front. She looked over to the left, saw it coming, moved over to the left side of the road. She's chasing Kristen Faulkner now, but can't quite close the gap. They're hitting a bump at 3.1 kilometers to go. Blanca Vos knows that she can't close the gap because she's got sprinters on her wheel, so she looks over, realizes she's got to back off the pedals right now. She moves to the right. Tactically, wisely so. You do not want to be pulling two sprinters back there like Lotta Kopecky and Mariana Vos. As she moves to the right, Vos won't come through. She's looking back. Lotta Kopecky can't come through. The American rider, Kristen Faulkner, she's got a gap now. She knows it. She throws into TT mode. As she's throwing down on the pedals, the gap is starting to go up. Now we start seeing her parents celebrating in the fans right now. That's John and Sarah. They're getting excited. We go back and look at the three riders. What's happening back there is the gap's going out to about 30 seconds. While Mariana Vos and Kopecky are both looking at each other. One's looking to the right, one's looking to the left. You know the gold medal's going to U.S. right now if you're sitting on the Chesterfield. As we go back up to 1.5 kilometers to go, gap's at about 30 seconds. Kristen Faulkner knows she's going to win too, but she's staying solid in the TT position. As she comes around the last 200 meters, she's powering all the way into the kilometer zero here to go and wins a gold medal at the Women's Olympic Road Race in 2024. She doesn't celebrate. She keeps going through the finish line here all the way to the photographers about 150 meters after the finish, if not 300, and then she starts to celebrate there. Now the cameras go back and find the three chasers as they round the last right bend here with 200 meters to go. A lot of Kopecki's on the front. Vos is sitting second, Mariana Vos. Blanca Vos is sitting third. As Lotta Kopecky throws in her acceleration with about 150 meters to go. Mariana Vos throws in her acceleration at 100. At 75 meters, Blanca Vos is throwing in her acceleration at 25. They're almost 3 wide across the road. 10 meters to go, they're 3 wide. It's a bike throughout the line. I don't know who won. We start looking at the aerial view. Once you see the aerial view come across the line, Blanca Vos certainly did not get a medal here, but who got the silver? Now we look at the side view. We see it's Mariana Vos from Team Netherlands that gets silver. Lotta Kopecky around at the podium with bronze. And of course, that means Blanca Vos, fine, fantastic ride for 4th on today's Women's Olympic Road Race. Now, after they cross the line, we start seeing the celebration up front from Kristen Faulkner as she's got the American flag wrapped around her. Her parents were losing it with 3 kilometers to go. Her mom was going crazy. Her dad was jumping out of the stands as Kristen Faulkner is going to celebrate a gold medal here for U.S., winning the Olympic road race for the women. And afterwards, it's going to be a big-time celebration for the U.S. fans sitting on the Chesterfield as Faulkner wraps up a gold medal. It's been a long time. Connie Carpenter back in the L.A. Olympic Championships was the last time to take gold for the women. But right now, it's time for Faulkner to celebrate. Fantastic win, tip of the hat. Guys, you have to go back and for sure watch the last 60 kilometers of the women's race. It was action-packed, attacks all over the place. The crash at under 50 kilometers to go from Chloe Dygard split the race all up. When I look at Lotte Kopecky, she was monstrous in closing the gap going up Mont-Montreuil in the first passage. She dropped everyone, closed gaps, and was the only rider to make it up to the front group as Team GB was blowing everything up. When I look at the tactics of Team GB, you guys were fantastic. If I'm nitpicking, fight for Georgie. Don't attack on Mont-Montreuil. It's the hardest section here on the circuit in Paris. You want to attack on a little bit softer climbs because when you're going up 7.5% with cobblestones, you're sending your teammates out the back. The only time you want to attack on the hardest section is if you know you will have hands down the best legs in the group you're with. Here today at the Women's Olympic Road Race, you had fantastic legs, but not the best. Next time, attack anywhere else so that your teammates, Anna back there and Lizzie Dignan, can hold on and get a bit of a draft. Then you have teammates and can play a tactical game further into the race. But I'm nitpicking. Congratulations on your top 5 here at the Women's Olympic Road Race. When we look at Blanka Voss getting 4th, man, what a fantastic ride for Hungary. You put on quite a show. We start looking at Mariana Voss getting silver and Lotte Kopecky who bridged the gap. Fantastic show. When we look at the gold medal there for Kristen Faulkner, it's historic, 40 years for the U.S. since the last women's gold medal winner in the road race. Tip of the hat here to you from the Butterfly Effect. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. It doesn't get any better than today's women's race when it comes to bike racing. I'll see you guys on the next edition real soon.